Hi, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oaks-White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
The United States lost nearly 142,000 farms between 2017 and 2022, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation. That's why it's urgent that Congress passes a new farm bill and immediate supplemental assistance for farmers.
As we record this, Louisiana Farm Bureau leaders are on their way to Washington, D.C. to share their concerns with the state's congressional delegation as they go back into session.
On this windy day here in Washington, D.C., Louisiana Farm Bureau Executive Committee members are touching down and getting ready for a string of meetings with members of the Louisiana congressional delegation. Now, you may have heard there was an election recently. President-elect Donald Trump became President-elect Donald Trump. The Republicans gained control of the Senate, and there's still some question about if they'll retain control of the House. Where that calls into question is whether or not it is better to get a farm bill passed now in the lame duck session or in the coming year. Not only that, these members of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Executive Committee are going to be asking the delegation for immediate supplemental assistance for farmers, and that is through the Farm Act. That was introduced by Congressman Kelly in Mississippi and Louisiana Congresswoman Julia Letlow. Now, Louisiana Farm Bureau President Richard Fontenot is going to be meeting with many of these members of Congress. Let them know that we need action taken now on the Farm Act, and also tell them that we badly need a farm bill, especially considering that reference prices have not been updated since almost 2012. So we're going to have all of those interviews with the members of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Executive Committee and with members of Congress, and we're going to bring that to you on next week's show.
To learn more about how you can help Louisiana Farm Bureau's efforts to pass the Farm Act and a new farm bill, visit our website at twilatv.org or scan the QR code on your screen right now.
Now, as you just saw, Louisiana Farm Bureau is doing all it can to urge passage of a new farm bill and supplemental assistance for farmers. That starts with getting farmers involved. In Northeast Louisiana, folks from several parishes got together in Delhi to hear where the bill stands, the possibility of getting it passed this year, and the economic conditions that make it so urgent. Louisiana Farm Bureau President Richard Fontenot told the crowd the organization is also pushing for the Farm Act as well as the Farm Bill, which would provide immediate assistance to rural America. Madison Parish Farm Bureau President Robert Warren, a grain farmer and one of the meeting's organizers, says farmers like him cannot afford to wait another year for new legislation.
Ever since COVID, we've been so upside down in these markets with inflation the way it was and crop prices the way they are right now. It's just about impossible, Neil, to make ends meet. And without a new farm bill and some updated reference prices, it's going to be a tight year, and I know there's a lot of bankers already concerned, along with the farmers concerned about being able to float a loan to go without some increase in the reference prices in a new farm bill.
Voter Voice is an important tool Louisiana Farm Bureau uses so you can connect with your members of Congress. Sign up and make your voice heard. You can find a link on our website at twilatv.org.
Drought has been affecting much of the country over the last couple of years. While timely rains helped this summer, fall dryness has affected Mississippi River levels where most U.S. grains are transported. However, the fall dry spell helped bring the harvest in nationwide ahead of the average pace. Greg Fox, a grain marketing specialist with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association, says the grain harvest wrapped early both in Louisiana and nationally.
In Louisiana, it's a little misleading because we had a really fast August. It was steady through September, but we still had guys cutting beans towards the end of October. So the volume wasn't as much as what we've seen 10 years ago coming out of the field in October. But there was still surprisingly a good amount of soybeans that came out in the month of October. So that was good to see because those beans were a little bit better quality.
Corn harvest in Louisiana was completed at the end of August, while soybeans finished in late October. Louisiana actually lagged behind Minnesota for the first in the country to finish bean harvest due to dry conditions in the Midwest. Well, nestled in the piney woods of Louisiana, Jackson Parish Farm Bureau has cut the ribbon on a new office to serve its members.
Parish President Robert Moore welcomed friends from all over Louisiana to the opening of the new parish office on Highway 167 in Hodge, Louisiana. Moore was joined by members of his local board and members of the state board. He says this building will be a great place for Farm Bureau to continue to grow in Jackson Parish.
The last office we were in was just a little cramped. It didn't have enough space for everybody, and we've got room here to grow. We're looking toward the future. We built some extra office in there, and we hope this is planning on this being the building for the parish for a long time to come.
We're a grassroots organization, and the volunteers that we have on each parish board are the integral part of what we do each and every day. They're representatives, they're our boots on the ground in everything that we do. And when we collectively come together, you see success stories like behind us, that we can build infrastructure, we can invest in the future, and we can take Farm Bureau to the next level.
Jackson Parish Farm Bureau had moved offices a few times over the years, so this building gives the organization a place to call home. Louisiana has the best seafood. There's no debate in this room. And right now it's just me and Kristen in here, so not much of a debate. We say it's the best, okay? And there's work now being done to expand the menu.
Fish that were once staples years ago could be making a comeback. Craig Gautreaux with the LSU Ag Center reports from the Iberia Research Station.
Shrimp and crawfish are key ingredients in many Louisiana seafood dishes. But what about garfish, or buffaloes, or gaspergou? Many years ago, these species were staples in many home-cooked meals. Agents with the LSU Ag Center and Louisiana Sea Grant are trying to bring them back to give a boost to the Louisiana seafood industry.
We're not limited by one species or one flavor. There's a lot of things that we can do and recombine our heritage cooking methods and add some of these new species to it and come up with some amazing products.
The good news is there is a plentiful supply of these fish in Louisiana waters. To help market them to consumers, local chefs are being invited to a workshop to help them see and taste the potential of these underutilized fish.
So we want to create awareness. We think that if chefs at restaurants sell these kind of product, the consumers will learn to eat them.
Because the seafood industry is struggling economically, the field day highlighted ways producers can increase the value of their catch and better market their product.
You're trying to look for things that you can do to add value to your product to be able to sell it and make good money on it. And I would tell you that the best thing that people can do is get a business plan.
A selling point of these fish is they can be prepared many different ways.
So you take a chef with these ingredients that are low cost input ingredients and turn that into a product, and somebody's going to do something with this. And so we're opening the door to help them discover that.
Participants at the event also got to see several machines demonstrated that could help add value-added products to their inventories. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
The seafood industry in Louisiana makes up about $1 billion of the state's economy. Well, we all have our go-to seasonings, Tony's, Slap Ya Mama, and about 1 million others.
But if you're making a stew, you might give Uncle Larry's Stew and a Few a try. Let's check out their operation in this week's Crawfish Tales.
I'm not a chef, I'm not a cook. I'm somewhere between. I'm a self-proclaimed shook. And we like to say, ça c'est bon. I'm Uncle Larry Roussel. I'm from Hester, Louisiana, and you may know me for my stew and a few, or ready set gumbo, or maybe my seasoning. And if you don't know me yet, you can know me with my brown sugar dry rub.
So you rub that onto like a roast or a chicken or
baby back ribs.
Baby back ribs.
Right,
you rub that on and then you go ahead and bake it.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
We're in St. James Parish with Uncle Larry and the fabulous creator of Stew and a Few and other products. He's got a special rub, he's got spices, he's got an okra gumbo mix, so many things, and Uncle Larry is preparing lunch here for us and a few of our very good friends.
So when I retired, I started, okay? And I knew I had products, and one of them was my seasoning. Whenever I came out with this, yeah, trust me, nothing was happening. But when I came out with Stew and a Few, it was off to an instant great start. Stew and a Few is the most versatile product you can ever see on the market, okay? You can do a sausage, you can do potato stew, lima beans, hamburger steak, oyster spaghetti, red beans in an Instant Pot. You can do so many things with Stew and a Few.
You take a nice roast, a beef roast,
yep,
and you put this in there and you bake that for about 2.5 hours at about 350. It just doesn't get any better. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. Look, even somebody like me can cook something very good when you start off with the Stew and a Few. The first thing you know when Uncle Larry's cooking, when you walk in, you can smell it. I mean, you can smell that gumbo, you can smell, that part, that Cajun spice. You can taste St. James Parish, you can taste, a part of what it is to be Cajun.
I'm gonna tell you, Commissioner, whenever you and the governor went on that listening tour,
yes,
your coordinator said, hey, we're gonna stop at your camp, we're gonna bring a catering feeder. He said, if y'all doing it at my camp, I'm bringing my cook.
It's bringing Uncle Larry.
And that's when I met, you told me, you said, I highly encourage you to become certified. But your certified program is the best business decision I ever made.
Oh, it's huge. Now we have more than 500 companies
500
are certified, right? And so what I tell people, when you go to that local section of your grocery store, you go to the grocery store, you look for that certified label and guarantee you, right?
That's exactly right.
My name's on there too, so I guarantee you
it's gonna be good.
That is good stuff.
I'm so happy to be certified because I'm gonna tell you, I make a lot of bad business decisions, all right? A lot of bad ones. But this was one of the best business decisions I ever did.
If you are producing any type of product here in Louisiana and you want to market it anywhere in the world, you need to be a part of the family of Certified Louisiana products. Certified Louisiana, Certified Cajun, Certified Creole, Certified Farm to Table, and Certified Louisiana Craft Beverages. And as we say, look for the seal because it's the real deal.
Look, it's a great thing to have. It's a great logo to put on your product. Two of the most important things that first, certify the veterans and then put my picture.
In just a very short period of time, you can cook a wonderful meal at home for your family with just a little help from our good friend Uncle Larry. Certified Louisiana's Crawfish Tales with Commissioner Mike Strain was brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry Certified Louisiana program. For information about the Certified Louisiana, Certified Cajun, Certified Creole, Certified Craft Beverage, and the Certified Farm to Table logo program, visit certifiedlouisiana.org or ldaf.la.gov. Support Louisiana families. Look for Certified Louisiana logos at your favorite grocery, restaurant, or farmer's market. Buy Louisiana. It's the way to grow.
The show always makes me so hungry, and I don't think it's going to get any better because still to come on TWILA.
We're heading to Calcasieu Lake to sample a taste of the future for Louisiana's oyster industry in this week's Feasting on Agriculture. Stay with us.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Welcome to Feasting on Agriculture. I'm Kristen Oaks-White, and today we're in Cameron Parish, where we're going to introduce you to one remarkable project, which is harnessing innovation and maximizing productivity to grow the Louisiana oyster industry.
Feasting on Agriculture is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
Hey, David.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Kristen.
Hey, welcome to Salt Revival Oyster Company.
Thank you for welcoming us out here. So tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, so this is our dock at Salt Revival Oyster Company, and as you can see, we kind of got a lot going on in this little space. Our oysters start in a hatchery, and there's several hatcheries along the Gulf Coast. We get them from Triple N Hatchery in Baton Rouge, from Murder Point Oyster Company, anywhere we can, basically. What you see in these bottles is baby oysters. And really, they're just too small to go out onto the farm. So we've made this bottle nursery, which is basically an upweller system. We're bringing in water from our nutrient-rich waters here in Cameron Parish, and we're bringing that in. It comes up through these tubes and out the top. But in the same time, it's sitting here just feeding the oysters. These baby oysters are in an all-day buffet, 24/7.
About how long are they in here from the time that you put them in to they get ready to go into the cages?
Yeah, it could be 2 weeks. It could be a month and a half, just depending on the oysters and how fast they grow. This is the actual oyster. It's just in a very, very small state. We consider these what's called an R4. And an R4 means the R stands for retains, and the 4 stands for millimeter. So it retains on a 4 millimeter mesh or strainer, which is what we have here. Okay. So every time we work the oysters, because they grow at different sizes, we like to strain them through something like this to separate them. And we get the ones that fall through are probably R2s, these are R4s, and as they grow up to even bigger, like these on the end here, Again, these are all from the same batch, but you can see how fast these grow compared to how fast those are growing. Once they get to this size, we put them in these bags that go into floating cages out on the farm. These are oyster grow cages. There's several different types of grow out cages and bags, and this one is because our water depths, here it's about 6 feet. We would love to use an Australian longline system or a different type of system, but you really need 3 to 4 feet of water and hard bottom to get in there and work on. So for our farm and our location, we find that these are just very conducive to what the area allows.
So we try to flip them once a week, everything on the farm. We work them every 6 weeks. We'll bring in everything and start working, tumble them, grade them, re-separate them, because as they grow, they fill up the bag. You want less as possible in the bag where they stay growing fast. If they get too crowded, they get like a brick. That bag, be slap full, and you don't want that. So we try to every 6 weeks work everything, and we'll come and check it every day. There's always something to do. When you just finish one job, you start another. It opens up a door for another one.
This process is much quicker than oysters growing in the wild, correct?
Yeah, and typically in the wild, you're going to get an oyster from what we saw at the nursery. You're going to take 3 to 4 years to really get to market size. That's really prevalent on the southeast part of the state as well. Mm-hmm. So when you go to a restaurant, you have this oyster that's this big. It's 4 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll start getting the oysters to market size for the half shell market in about 5 months.
Right now, what we have out here is 1.8 million oysters right now that you see on the farm, where when you're wild, you're allowed 15 sacks, and you got to find them. If you have a good year, bad year, it just depends on what you make. Where here you it justifies the labor, because what you put in is what you get.
We like to tumble our oysters, and we like to say every 6 weeks. It does different things. So number one, as you see the different hole sizes, here it separates the oysters by size. Just like when they're babies, we run them through a sieve or a strainer. This kind of acts the same way without us having to just manually do everything. So the different oyster sizes are going to fall into different tubs.
Does it kind of help toughen up the oyster?
You bet, you bet.
Like
every time, yeah. Every time that the oysters work, it increases that shell density, and they create a little thicker shell.
This AOC project, how did all of this come about?
Louisiana was actually the very first state in the Gulf Coast to approve AOC. We call it AOC, Alternative Oyster Culture. Texas calls it COM, C-O-M, which is Cultivated Oyster Management or something like that. Everybody has their own term for it. But Louisiana, don't quote me on the exact dates, I want to say it was 2008, 2009, they approved this process for oysters, and we were the very first state in the Gulf to do it. Unfortunately, I think because of a lot of regulations and the upfront cost it takes just to get going, we're actually been surpassed by Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and now Texas. Texas just approved it in 2019, and I think they have just as many, if not more, farms than we do already.
What's your favorite part of this process?
We can be beat tired at the end of the day and ready just to crawl up in bed, but we always look at each other and it's like, when does the work start? Because you can't beat this office. It's a crop that's very sustainable, and it also has a good purpose. I mean, all these oysters, adult oysters, like the ones we pulled out just now that we're gonna work, they can filter up to 50 gallons per day, every single one. So when Hubern said, we've got so many oysters out here, basically what we have is a solar-powered water filter that is just benefiting our ecosystem. The whole thing just makes a lot of sense. So this is another way to add to the rich history of oyster farming, whether it's in the wild or like we're doing AOC. We just add to it, and it's such a rich thing that it just made sense all the way around.
When we come back, David is going to take us to his restaurant, Salt Revival Oyster Company, and we're going to sample some of these oysters. Stay with us. Well, we got off the boat in Cameron Parish, and now we're in Lake Charles. David, at your restaurant that you started after you started growing oysters, Salt Revival Oyster Company,
And you guys have a lot of oyster dishes here, don't you?
We do. We have raw oysters, char-grilled oysters, baked oysters, all your typical oyster fare. We do fried oysters as well, so we have a couple of little different dishes with fried oysters. And we have 3 different kinds of baked oysters that we do here. So we have one of each. We do our own style of oysters Rockefeller.
Yeah.
So this is our play on it. The difference here is we're using collard greens rather than spinach.
Okay.
And just kind of make a little twist on it. We have some bacon, chopped bacon on this one that will get nice and crispy. And in the process, we're gonna top that with some Alabama white sauce. And then on this one, we have some pimento cheese that we make here in-house.
Okay.
So we'll bake that. That'll get nice and melty on the oyster. And we'll top that with what we call cowboy candy, which is some candied jalapenos.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm gonna stick this in the oven.
Okay.
We have our char-grilled oyster butter here. But in that we have lemon, we have garlic, we have thyme, we have oregano, and that's about it. So we'll stick these on the grill. We'll get these going. We'll baste them in butter the whole time. And you can see the whole process. And we'll top it with Parmesan cheese.
Cannot go wrong putting that on anything.
No, right. You could bathe in that and be
Yes.
perfectly fine.
That's beautiful. That's the best smell too. So the oysters that you grow out at the farm, do y'all pretty much go through all of them?
Right now we do
Here?
because we talked about, we started the farm before the restaurant and we had no idea what to expect. So we got to a point where like, man, we hope we have enough oysters to sell to the restaurant because we were using quite a bit every week. And so we use them all for here, but now that I think we have 1.8 million seed in the water. And so our intention is to hit other markets as well and sell to other restaurants. So we'll stay here in Lake Charles, but then we'll start hitting in markets like Houston, Austin, Dallas, and those kind of things, and get the Cameron oyster nationwide is the goal.
Awesome. I have a confession to make. While I love char-grilled oysters, I have never tasted a raw oyster, I think because I'm scared of them.
Yeah.
So
this is the best time to start.
Okay. You just drink it?
You just drink it, just slurp it down.
How do you do? It tastes very good. It is such a weird experience though. David, thank you so much for today. First out on the water and then enjoying the fruits of your labor because these oysters are to die for. If you want to learn more about Salt Revival Oyster Company or visit their restaurant location here in Lake Charles, you can visit our website at twilatv.org. Until next time, see us feasting on agriculture.
Feasting on Agriculture was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, Ask Before You Eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Beef, It's What's for Dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board. Think rice.
Glad to see you finally got to try that raw oyster.
I have to say I still prefer the char-grilled ones, but it was good.
They're both good, just like the show, right? Because that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when I'll be back from that trip to Washington, D.C. with the Louisiana Farm Bureau leaders to give you a full report.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. You can also find all of these stories on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when we put out new content.
For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.